Yes, you are seeing that correctly. I am back. I've been gone for quite a while, quite a few months. One of my patented breaks that I always do. Basically, what happened was just a combination of me losing my motivation for months at a time, and then also my capture card broke on top of that, so I just didn't even have a way to record anything on PS5. But I don't know what's got back into me recently, but I'm starting to feel the motivation again. The creative juices are flowing, and I want to start getting back into posting some more YouTube videos, so I figured what would be a better way than to do a college football revamped series here on the channel. I do actually have a new and better capture card for my PS5, but we're not even doing a PS5 series because this is actually college football revamped on the PC. If you are not familiar with what college football revamped is, it is a mod for NCAA Football 14 that basically updates every school in the game to be what they are present day. I also have the named rosters, the full named rosters, everything like that. So every team's jerseys are updated, their rosters are updated. It's the whole shebang, and we are going to be doing a series with it. If you're interested in checking out the mod yourself, I will have a link to their website in the description. But just as a fair warning, if you do not have at least a decently good PC, you will not be able to run this game on it, because it is a very CPU-intensive mod in the emulator itself. That's why I'm playing the game. But even with that being said, if you are interested in checking it out, like I said, the link will be in the description below. So let's hop into it. As you see on your screen right now, we're creating our coach here. Wilbur Fisher is our coach's name. It is actually a combination of two different gym teachers that I had growing up. I wanted to be like an old school style coach, not one of these young hotshot style guys, because we are going to be doing a bit of an old school approach to offense, kind of. You may also notice that the alma mater is listed as Navy, and that is because we are going to be running the triple option offense. Now, it's not going to be 100% flex bone. We're not just doing straight Army, Navy, Georgia Tech type offense. I've made a custom playbook, and it's essentially going to be a mix of some flex bone, some pistol, some shotgun, all the best portions of those types of formations for an option offense, all put into one. I can tweak the playbook as the personnel changes from year to year, but as the base of the offense, it always is going to remain as a triple option offense, because that is what we are going to be trying to do here. While on the defensive side of the ball, it's going to be a bit more varied. That could literally change every season based on our personnel. If we bring in a bunch of really good linebackers, I might play the 3-4. If we bring in a bunch of really good defensive ends, or a bunch of really good DTs, a bunch of good defensive linemen, we might play a 4-3. If we have a bunch of good defensive backs, we might play the 3-3-5. So you see on the screen right now, I have it listed as 3-4, but that is just a placeholder until we are able to go and look over our roster and see what's going to fit best for Season 1. Also going to be playing on Heisman difficulty, of course. If you are interested in the slider set that I am using as it's scrolling by on the screen right now, those will also be linked in the comments or in the description below. And I also have the conferences up to date, because one thing the mod does not do, it does not auto-realign the conferences. You still have to do that by yourself. So I have them all up to date. I've got Rutgers, Maryland in the Big Ten, all the different teams in the new conferences, Louisville in the ACC, all that good stuff. The only things that I was not able to do is UConn, UMass, and New Mexico State are all not in this game with the mod because other teams have come in to replace them, like Coastal Carolina, for example. And I just don't really care enough to go through the whole downloading another program to my PC and creating a UConn, UMass, and New Mexico State team and adding them in and doing all that stuff. I just don't feel like doing that, so those three teams are all independents, and they just will not be in this version of this universe. And the only other thing that is not going to be truly realistic is going to be the Sun Belt division in real life that actually has two divisions, or the Sun Belt Conference. They have two divisions within that conference. In this game, with the amount of teams that are in the Sun Belt, it does not let me split those teams up into two divisions, so it's just going to be a whole one big conference like the American conferences, for example, but it's the Sun Belt Conference. So as far as the team that I will actually be playing as in this series, I left it out of the title on purpose so I could do a reveal like this within the episode. That team is going to be the Nebraska Cornhuskers. There's a few different reasons why I decided to be Nebraska. One of the big ones was I just didn't really want to do what I usually do with NCAA 14, which is pick a bad team in a bad conference and then make them good. That's been done a million times by me. I'm just really not interested in doing that, and I thought it would be fun to be taking an actual school that's already in a major conference but maybe has had some rough years as a program in recent history, and see if we can build them up into an actual powerhouse within that conference. So maybe recruiting itself won't be that big of a deal, but actually competing against the much higher level schools in our conference, that is going to be the big issue here. And then we're also going to be trying to maintain, once we do get to that point, if we get to that point of being a top team in the conference, of actually trying to be a perennial college football championship type team year in and year out, while running the option. And that's the big thing for me. I was like, Nebraska could be fun, and what if we bring the option back to Nebraska? Because if you're not aware, Nebraska used to be a very, very good college football program, probably the best college football program in the country in like the mid-90s when Tom Osborne was their coach. They even ran the triple option back then. They did it out of the I-form. I will not be doing it out of the I-form. I even tried to find some I-form to add to my custom playbook, but I could not find any I-form option plays. I would have liked to have them, but they're just not in the game as far as I can see, unless you use the Maryland I, which is not the same thing, and I'm not really interested in doing that. But it's just the idea of an option team with elite talent is very scary to me. Generally, the option is viewed as an offense you can run as a way to succeed as a team with lesser talent. That's why the service academies use it, because they have such a tough time recruiting. Georgia Tech, I'm not sure exactly why they use it, but generally it is seen as a way to win with lesser talent. Whereas if you have elite talent, like just imagine a triple option offense with some of the best running back recruits in the nation all in one backfield. So now let's actually jump into the actual series itself. As far as the upgrades for our coaches, our starting upgrades, we put our first point for our head coach into scouting. For the defensive coordinator, it went into road close, which is for block shed, for stopping the run. And then for offensive coordinator, we put it into ball security, carrying, because that just makes sense. We're not going to be running a lot of hurry-up offense here, so I'd rather be able to, carry the ball and not fumble. And as far as red shirts go for year one here in Nebraska, we will be redshirting freshman quarterback Heinrich Harburg, two receivers in Alante Brown, who is a sophomore, and a freshman in Sean Hardy II. We are redshirting two tight ends in Thomas Fedone II, who is a freshman, and another freshman in James Carney. We're redshirting a freshman offensive guard, Henley Lutovsky, a defensive tackle in Raquan Buckley, who is a freshman, two cornerbacks who are both freshmen in Marquise Buford Jr. and Malik Williams, a strong safety sophomore, Isaac Gifford, and then a freshman kicker in Brendan Frank. Or it could be Frankie. I'm assuming it's Frank. My thought process behind redshirting is pretty self-explanatory. It's pretty basic. I redshirt freshmen or sophomores sometimes, or even juniors sometimes, who are lower on the depth chart. If they're not going to be a starter, I redshirt them so we get another year of eligibility, and they improve heading into next season, and we're able to hopefully get them higher up on the depth chart next year. Really, the only one that could start right now who I redshirted was Raquan Buckley, the defensive tackle. He's only like one overall point lower than the two guys above him on the depth chart, so I could start him, but I figured I would have the two defensive tackles who are seniors above him. We would redshirt Buckley, so next season when those guys leave, he'll be better and he'll be the top overall defensive tackle on the roster, assuming we don't go out and get some 5-star defensive tackle who's like way better than him. And right now on your screen, the depth chart will be scrolling by. I'm just going to point out a few key guys to know on the roster. The starting quarterback is Adrian Martinez, related to Taylor Martinez. It feels like they've had a Martinez at QB for the past 15 years. He's actually a senior in this game. In real life, he has the extra year of eligibility, so I believe in real life he's actually transferring to Kansas State, but in this, I'm not going to change him to a junior or whatever. He is just going to be, graduating or going to the draft or whatever at the end of this season. His backup is redshirt freshman Logan Smothers, who actually has 90 speed, so that'll be ideal for the option offense. We also have an entire backfield of freshman running backs, whether they're freshmen or redshirt freshmen. The best of the bunch is Ramir Johnson, who is actually from New Jersey. Austin Allen is our best player on offense overall-wise. He is a tight end, and he is absolutely huge. He's like 6'8", like 260, something like that. And because he is a tight end, and we are running the option, and traditionally the tight ends don't really get used very much in the option passing game, because there isn't really much, even though we are going to be passing more than a traditional option team. Still not very much, though, just, more than like Navy would pass. So we are going to be creative with how we have to use our receivers and tight ends to actually get them involved in the offense. But the thing that really stands out about this team is the defense, particularly 2 linebackers in Will Honus and Garrett Nelson. And then we have 3 very good safeties. 3 of our top 5 overall best players are all safeties. We've got Deontay Williams Jr., Jojo Daman, and then Markel Dismuke. I'm not sure exactly how you say his name. I'll eventually find it. I even tried looking up. I couldn't find a pronunciation for him, so I'm just gonna say it's Dismuke. I'm even saying it different every time. I don't know. Whatever it is, those are our 3 best players on defense. And because of that, we are actually going to be utilizing the 3-3-5 defense this year. If you are familiar with Iowa State in real life, that's the defense they use. They just kind of popularized it as a way to stop the spread offenses all around college. And I'm particularly actually a big fan of that defense, and we're going to be using here so we're able to have our best 3 players on defense, who are those safeties, on the field at all times. And now let's take a look at what our schedule will be for this Season 1. Keep in mind the mod also does not change the schedule, so this is actually the 2013, or whatever season it was for NCAA 14, I'm assuming 2013. This is the conference schedule for that season. And then I went and just did 3 non-conference games that I felt would be fine to put in there, teams that I wanted to play. So we're starting our season at Wyoming, and then we're hosting our home opener is against Kansas State. I actually did that before realizing that that's where Adrian Martinez is playing next season. Then we're playing Charlotte to end our non-conference schedules. And then to start the conference schedule, we're going to be playing host to Ohio State. Then we go at Indiana versus Illinois, at Purdue, then we have a bye, then it's back-to-back road games at Minnesota and Northwestern, then we have another bye, and then it's 3 straight home games to close out the season versus Wisconsin, versus Penn State, then our rivalry game against Iowa, and then it's the conference championship week. And now it's time for the last but not least portion of this episode, and that'll be the recruiting, the preseason recruiting. Because we are in the Big Ten and Nebraska is historically a very good program, we do have some nice perks in recruiting. We've got an A-plus program tradition, we've got an A conference prestige, an A stadium atmosphere, TV exposure, athletic facilities, a B-plus pro potential. Campus lifestyle is not the best, but it's also not the worst at a B-. And then championship contender is currently only at a C, which is what will really hold us back from getting the top of the recruits. I'm sure we're going to have a decent amount of 4 stars, maybe even some 5 stars who are interested in us, but it's going to be a struggle to really, separate ourselves in recruiting from teams like Alabama or Georgia, the SEC, Ohio State, because those schools just do have much better recruiting pitches than we do, because we don't have the championship contender and those schools do, and a lot of these higher prospects or higher recruits do, want to play for a championship. And if we take a look at our team needs on offense, we need a quarterback, a halfback, 2 fullbacks, which we're not too concerned about. Maybe I'll get 1. We can always convert one of our tight ends or extra halfbacks to fullback. We need a center. And then on defense, we need a defensive end, 2 outside linebackers, a middle linebacker, and a free safety. Now, as far as pipeline states go, right now our pipeline states are Nebraska, which is set in stone. That's still going to be a pipeline heading into next season. And then Florida and Georgia are ones we would have to get guys from to continue those being a pipeline. I'm assuming Florida and Georgia are both pipelines because of Scott Frost's connections that he got in Florida while he was the coach at UCF. I'm not too concerned with keeping those as pipelines. Obviously, I'm not going to turn down talent from anywhere, but I mean, ideally, we are going to be looking for local guys, corn-fed guys from Nebraska, Iowa, Missouri, Kansas. And then sometimes you'll see schools that are in like these weird areas like Nebraska who will just pick like one of like the big 3 states to be like their state they go after. So whether it's Texas, whether it's Florida, or whether it's California, generally schools that aren't in like these hotbeds will just pick one of those things and they'll have their pipelines plus whatever big state they want to go after. For us, I think it would make the most sense for us to go after Texas kids because I feel like that's the closest of the, well, it is. It definitely is the closest of the 3 big states to us. And I just feel like with all the connections that Nebraska has had to being in a conference with all the Texas schools back in the day in like the 80s, it just makes sense for us to be targeting Texas as a potential pipeline school or a pipeline state. But into the actual recruiting, we got off to a very, very lucky / fantastic start as the #1 recruit in the entire nation has us as his first choice because he is from Shadron, Nebraska, and he's got proximity to home as one of his top pitches. So we're going to do our damn best to try to get this guy. And then once I added him to the recruiting board, I went and did a search for just any prospect who has us in their top 10 schools. There turned out to be 153 recruits. So let's just go through and talk about some of the guys that we did add. This is not all of them. I will show you all of them later on, but this is just some of the ones I wanted to highlight. The first being Adam Pearson. He is the #1 halfback in the country, number 15 total recruit. He is from Paramus, New Jersey. Has us as his first choice. He's on the board. Then we got John Chase, a big running back, 6'3", 5-star out of Corsicana, Texas. He's on the list as well. Antonio Gilbert, another Texas kid, 5-star scrambling quarterback. We're his second option. Then we got Corey Nichols, who's a 4-star quarterback from Missouri. He would be a good step towards developing a pipeline in Missouri, which is one of the states I said I wanted to focus in. We also got Philip Bennett, who is a 4-star halfback from Palmetto Estates, Florida. Sounds like it should be like that's like the Villages rival or something, who they play in high school every year, because the Villages have a high school, if you weren't aware. But anyways, he has us as a #1 school. He's on the list. Then we also got Lance Harris, who is the only fullback in the country who is interested in us, so naturally he's on the list. John Bonner, who is a receiver. We don't need the best receivers because we are an option team, but he's got us as his #1 team, and he runs a sub 440. Not a sub 4. He runs a sub 4.4, so he's like a 4.36 or something like that 40-yard dash time. And we could absolutely find a creative way to use him in the offense if he decides to come to us. The next guy, Reggie Wynn, another extremely fast receiver. Same deal as Bonner. If he comes to us, we can find a creative way to use him. Then we got some offensive linemen, a tackle, 4-star run blocking guy. Scott Harris has been added to the list. We got Thomas Justice, another 4-star run blocking offensive guard. And then we got 2 centers. We got Mark Rivera, who is the #2 center in the country, 4-star run blocking. He's from Flower Mound, Texas. And then we got Evan Gonzalez, who's a 4-star run-blocking center from South Dakota. And South Dakota is a state that I did not mention, but the Dakotas are actually directly north of Nebraska. So the state that's sitting right on top of Nebraska is South Dakota. On top of that, of course, is North Dakota. So they could be pipeline options. The thing is, South Dakota and North Dakota usually don't really produce much talent in this game. So it'd be kind of hard to, develop them as a pipeline, especially when I'm trying to, recruit good talent. Next guy on the list is Rich Collier, a 3-star outside linebacker who is from Nebraska. Perfect, the exact kind of guy we're trying to go after. Chad Mead, who is an absolute unicorn, a white corner who runs a 4.3 flat 40. Just insane. He's on the list. Kelvin Huff, we need a free safety. He's a 3-star free safety from Michigan. And then I went and looked at some other guys. We got Jamal Walker, who is not currently interested in us, but he is the best fullback recruit in the nation, and he's from Nebraska. So I felt like it'd be a crime if we didn't at least try to go after him. Then Benjamin Cleveland, same deal, from Nebraska, 4-star D-end. We need a D-end. We're going to try to get him. Then we got Chris Bush, who is the best outside linebacker in the nation. He has us as his 5th option. Respectable. I figured I'd add him to the list. And then we got Eric Reyes, who is a middle linebacker from Kansas. No middle linebackers in any of the other potential pipeline states. No Nebraska, no Kansas, no Missouri, no Iowa. None of those states have any middle linebackers for some reason. The only one, or Kansas, he's from Kansas. The only one is him. Even Texas didn't really have any impressive middle linebackers, so I decided to just add Eric Reyes to our list. And then just the full recruiting board will be scrolling by pretty fast. If you want to pause on a certain guy and look at him, you can, but I'm not going to spend too much time going over that. I've gone over the more important guys, and of course we're going to do recruiting updates throughout the season as well, probably at the start of episodes before we actually get into the game for that week. And then I do want to take a glimpse of the playbook here. This is the custom playbook. As you can see, like I said, it's a good mix of traditional flexbone stuff. We got a lot of flexbone formations. We got some pistol formations in there as well. And then we also got some shotgun stuff. Lots of split back shotguns where there's 2 running backs to each side of our quarterback. Lots of 3 wide with the split backs. Lots of stuff like that going on. We're definitely not going to be running the ball 100% of the time. Like I said, we're not going to be Army, Navy, we're not going to be Georgia Tech, but we are going to be throwing a bit more than those teams, so I would like to, have some formations that are, easier to throw out of than like the flex bone is. So yeah, week 1, we're going to be traveling to Laramie to take on the Wyoming Cowboys to kick off the season on the road. And that's going to wrap things up here for this opening episode of the Nebraska Cornhuskers Dynasty here on College Football Revamped. I've been your host, Jerseyborn, and I will see you for week 1.